Like any other category of EDC, you can either choose to spend a Jackson, a few Benjamins, or anything in between. But truth be told, there are gems in each and every camp. You just need to know where to look. The very same holds true with knives, so today, we're going to point you in the right direction and we'll focus our attention on what would be considered budget pocket knives, by walking you through a curated list of what we consider to be some of the best EDC pocket knives you can currently procure for under $50. Ones with attractive builds, solid blade steel, and more. So without further ado, Opinel will kick off our guide with the number 8, taking us to France for our first budget knife pick. Opinel has roots dating back to 1890, setting up shop in Savoie, France, the same locale it currently resides and manufactures its now much larger catalog of iconic knives well over a century later. Today, we're showcasing the Opinel No. 8 as our best budget knife pick, well under $50. The very first Opinel knife Joseph Opinel created in 1890 at just 18 years old. With exceptionally minor changes, its design has largely remained the same, apart from a locking system that has seen a few improvements before its latest form to keep the blade closed in the open and closed positions. The modern Opinel No. 8, even with its few changes, only consists of 5 key components: the Sandvik 12C27 modified inox stainless steel blade, a rotating ring called the ViroBlock safety ring locking mechanism keeping the blade locked when opened or closed, and an inner fixed ring with a locking pin holding the wooden handle to the blade and locking assembly. The No. 8 sits right in the middle of their lineup in terms of size, measuring up at 7.59 inches in total length with the 3.28-inch blade deployed, and it measures in at 1.6 ounces in total weight, most of which comes from the metal components, as the hornbeam handle, although technically a hardwood, maintains a fairly lightweight composition. And by the way, these wooden handles come in a range of colors Opinel refers to as the Colorama line. Ours here is the beechwood color, but you can also pick up a deep blue, a deep red, an OD green or khaki, or a dark brown. For thousands of years, swordsmiths in Japan have been crafting extremely beautiful tools, some of the most famous being katanas wielded by samurai. But if you're looking for a highly compact EDC-friendly folding knife steeped in history with an extremely unique blade steel, look to the Higonokami folding knife, whose 3.5-inch size provides just that. This timeless, extremely beautiful creation is handmade in Japan and uses Japanese-made blue paper steel manufactured by Hitachi Metals. It's an extremely high carbon composition, which then sees some tungsten and chromium added to even further increase its corrosion resistance. And the brass handle is just rugged and undeniably beautiful, featuring Japanese engraving on the exterior, a few grip notches toward the bottom, and a convenient lanyard punch-out for securing it onto your person in one form or fashion. Since this small folding knife doesn't have a locking system as it's a friction folder, you'll need to keep your thumb planted firmly on the tab when using the blade to make sure it does not snap down on your fingers. By the way, this is one of the smallest Higo folding knife options, just over 6 inches with the blade deployed, and 90mm or a touch over 3.5 inches when closed. But they step up considerably in size and are even offered up with different but equally rugged handle materials. We are partial to the full brass version since they'll develop a really beautiful patina over time with each use, even though we think they look already worn in all the best ways straight out of the box. Also, there are a lot of dupes for these guys on the internet, so make sure you do your due diligence and make your purchase from a trusted distributor or follow the link that we've already provided. Yes, alright, before anyone comes after us, the latest version of the Pilar family is the version 4, but we're only looking at sub $50 knives, and the 4 has a current price tag of about $75. If you're willing to stretch your budget, the 4 does offer some more premium additions, but the base Pilar III is an extremely solid backup, and we've given it our best value pick as such. So here's what the CRKT Pilar III offers. First, 4 handle options, ours here with a G10 and stainless steel combination. Second, 3 blade steel options, 12C27, 8CR13 MOV, and D2. Look to the first 2 if you want to keep the price tag sub $50, or D2 if you can stretch the budget. D2 is also what the Pilar 4 comes with. Third, a 3-inch blade length, a thickness of 0.15mm, and an overall length of 7.19 inches. Fourth, an IKBS ball bearing pivot for an uber smooth blade deployment that makes both the 3 and the 4 feel like they carry MSRPs well above their class. Fifth is a thick metal backspacer with plenty of jimping that ships in brass for the D2 version. Sixth, a highly secure frame lock on the stainless steel side, which is an awesome locking mechanism here for the price. Seventh is a solid pocket clip with a very straightforward, attractive design that sits flush with the scale as its base is inset and held in with 2 hex screws. The Pilar knives are Jesper Voxna's design, currently manufactured by CRKT, and for anyone unfamiliar, the name actually comes from Hemingway's boat, which he named the Pilar, both the name of the heroine in For Whom the Bell Tolls, and a nickname for his then-wife Pauline when he acquired the vessel. You might also recognize the Voxnez name, as he's one of the minds behind Giant Mouse, and you can clearly see his design signatures. Every Pilar has a rugged but highly refined quality that's undoubtedly a Voxnez trademark. Next up is a great budget pick if you frequent the outdoors from a knife maker that lives and breathes the outdoors, Gerber. This beefy Gerber Flatiron cleaver in gray micarta with its tough D2 blade is our pick for the best cleaver design around $50. We say beefy because it carries some serious utility courtesy of a 3.6-inch cleaver-shaped blade and over 8.4 inches in total length. Cleavers are essentially butcher knives, these pocket versions taking on folding designs over the traditional fixed blade versions, but their use case can be much the same. Where other knife blade designs fall short, the Flatiron excels at chopping. 1, the knife is heavy, which is great for this use case, but 2, it has a very thick 4mm spine you could certainly baton with a second carry tool, as you would a fixed blade for chopping, making kindling for fire starting, or breaking down game when hunting or fishing. You get the overall idea. The blade is semi-polished, not to a mirror finish, but damn close, with a long finger hole for deployment, no jimping on the spine, oddly enough, and a deep finger choil at the base. Now the handle is a denim-like gray-blue micarta on one side and a PVD-coated steel on the other with an over-travel stop and a frame lock on this side of the handle, as well as a thick pocket clip at the end. This over-travel stop also functions as a finger support, and that mitigates any pressure on the lock from your finger, allowing the blade to deploy as smoothly as possible. We also noticed that it used the same level of polish as the blade. And although functionally the wide pocket clip does make sense to firmly hold the rather heavy cleaver in the pocket without any side-to-side play, we're not completely in love with the design, but that's an extremely minor note to an otherwise fantastic, budget-friendly outdoor-lined pocket knife. Building off everything great about the Ontario Knife Company Rat 1, the Rat 2 comes in a substantially smaller form factor, shrinking every proportion and shortening the blade from 3.6 inches down to 3 inches, making more sense for everyday applications. If you're looking for a sub-$50 pocket knife with a tactical slant, the Rat 2 is hard to beat. The Ontario Knife Company has roots dating back to the late 19th century in upstate New York, and that's well over a century of history if you do the math. One of their best-selling knives is the Rat, abbreviated for Randall's Adventure in Training. The two companies agreed to an exclusive collaboration back in the early 2000s, and out of that collaboration, the Rat folder was born. Randall's Adventure in Training is an Alabama-based survival, bushcraft, and wilderness training school owned by Jeff Randall and Mike Perrin. Jeff is a National Association for Search and Rescue instructor and a SARTEC 2 lead evaluator, and the late Mike Perrin, a certified wilderness first responder, among many other accolades, both known for being authorities in their respective fields. Anecdotally, they also founded SE Knives and offer knives of their own in addition to the collaboration with the Ontario Knife Company that's produced the Rat models. We digress. The Rat 2 takes everything great about the Rat 1 and sizes it down. We've said that, but what was so great about the Rat 1? Well, the Rat 1 is praised for its ergonomics and durability in relation to its attainable price point. But, as we've said, it's a large knife and not well suited for the pocket as much as the subsequent Rat 2. So they've carried over the ergonomics, they've carried over the hard-wearing build qualities, but have just done so with about 33% less size. With the Rat 2, you get a 3-inch Aussie drawpoint blade with a 0.09-inch thickness, black G10 carbon fiber scales, a sturdy liner lock, dual thumb studs, the Rat 1 signature raised spine with grippy jimping, and a blacked-out, repositionable deep carry pocket clip. On that last note though, we definitely would have preferred a tip-up carry style instead. But long story short, the Rat 2 is a sub-$50 tactically leaning folder you can just really throw around without having to worry about it. And who doesn't like an everyday knife like that? Our next best overall pick, much like the Pilar from CRKT and Jesper Voxnez, comes from the mind of an industry giant, Mr. Rick Hinderer. As a collaboration between Oregon-based Kershaw and Ohio-based Hinderer, the Kershaw Cryo, released back in 2012, has become one of the best budget mainstays in Kershaw's catalog. Rick Hinderer, firefighter and EMT, owns Rick Hinderer Knives, a small outfit responsible for crafting some of the most premium, handmade, American-manufactured pocket knives in the industry, so he's no stranger to the space. In our opinion, the Kershaw Cryo is an all-around fantastic choice as your first pocket knife carrying a price tag well below $50. It has a hard-wearing build despite its China stamp on the blade, comes with a near head-to-toe titanium carbonitride coating rendering it in a very attractive daily carry style, utilizes a sturdy frame lock, and uses a slew of stealthy black hardware accents across the handle and the blade. Oh yeah, plus it's assisted if that's something of value to you. But more on that in a bit. Overall, it's a solid knife for the price. It uses a fine 8 CR13 MOV blade steel for the 2.75-inch blade. We love the full titanium carbonitride coating that gives it a notch of extra durability and bathes both the blade and the handle in a completely opaque gray. The frame lock comes with a Hinderer-designed over-travel stop they dub as a lock bar stabilization mechanism, and you do get an assisted blade action like we said. We do have a few observations. It's interesting that although there are plenty of pre-drilled holes for repositioning the pocket clip, the factory default is positioned in a way that makes the knife sit in your pocket tip down. Yes, technically a matter of convenience, but having a tip down knife in the pocket means you'll have to flip and reposition the knife before you can deploy the blade. Second, we could probably do without the assisted opening. Yes, it's snappy, it's easy to use with the flip tab, but it makes the thumb studs virtually impossible to use alone. You can get it eventually with the right angle and the right amount of force, but it's difficult, so we'd much prefer a Cryo without one should they iterate again past the Cryo 2. We always try our best to highlight American craftsmanship, so in an effort to carry through, we'd like to feature one of our favorite American-made pocket knives you can currently find for just about $50 even, and that would be the Case Trapper made in Bradford, Pennsylvania. And Case XX has over 130 years of history hand-assembling knives, so use that as you may to inform your purchase. This particular case knife is a 2-blade trapper. But what is a trapper and why is it good for EDC? The trapper, single blade, double blade, or more is a classic outdoorsman silhouette, which you could probably extrapolate from the name. It's technically not a multi-tool, but this 2-blade system definitely provides a lot more utility than a 1-blade system generally can, with 2 very different blade shapes to provide support for different types of cutting tasks. Case has hundreds of active SKUs, but this particular blade and handle combination is chrome vanadium steel for the blades with a synthetic handle. But Case is most well known for their use of bone, stag, and wooden handles. This particular budget case trapper only uses synthetic or plastic handle inlays to keep the cost down. So you're provided with both a particularly stubby spade blade and a clip blade, both measuring up around 3.25 inches in length, with a total length when they're closed of about 4.1 inches. Both blades come polished from the get-go. You're going to find that although chrome vanadium isn't necessarily the most premium steel option, you'll have a fairly painless process sharpening them up, and are all around fairly corrosion resistant. And regular maintenance with regular oil application certainly only helps keep them in good condition, as case trappers are certainly heirloom contenders. Keep in mind that case trappers don't have any locking systems. They're slip joints, so it's really imperative that you use them with caution if you're not super comfortable with using slip joint knives already. And even then, it's a good idea to use them only for certain cutting applications. Some actions like prying or stabbing could result in the blade accidentally folding on your fingers if you're not careful. Next up, Spyderco. For a large batch of their iconic models, they've released them in lightweight versions, opting to use FRN or fiberglass reinforced nylon handle scales instead of G10 or something even heavier. These lightweight models, like our next pick we've dubbed as one of the best workhorse pocket knives around $50, the Ambitious Lightweight, are excellent low-cost everyday carry options from the Colorado-based knife maker. So here's what the Ambitious Lightweight offers. First, the obligatory, as it's in the name and should be addressed right from the onset. The Ambitious Lightweight weighs in at 2.8 ounces, which is honestly just a touch disappointing since the exact same G10 version of the Ambitious weighs in at 3 ounces. They brand this difference as a 7% decrease in weight, but when you actually do the math, 0.2 ounces is hardly going to be a perceptible difference on your person. They really only managed to shave off a negligible amount of weight by swapping G10 for FRN. That being said, I guess every little bit counts. Plus, FRN is an injection process while G10 is a machine scale and offers a few different qualities that G10 doesn't. Better grip, at least with the texture Spyderco has employed here, and a bit more impact resistance, and it holds up to a fair amount of abuse quite well. It doesn't have quite the same premium feel that G10 offers in hand, as it essentially feels like plastic though. The stubby 2.25-inch 8CR13 MOV blade features Spyderco's signature thumb hole, the handle sporting a Walker liner lock, skeletonized full-length liners, phosphor bronze washers, and a deep carry pocket clip that comes from the factory in a tip-down carry style. But they do offer pre-drilled machining to easily reposition the clip on the other end and on both sides. Although the Ambitious Lightweight is a popular Spyderco design, keep in mind that it's not made in the US like some of Spyderco's other knives. We'd like to close our guide of the best affordable pocket knives under or around $50 with a multi-tool pocket knife in case you're looking to max out utility in one compact package. One of our favorite affordable, hyper-durable, and uber-compact multi-tools is the Cadet ALOX from Victorinox, whose slim profile, full-length blade, and a handful of EDC-friendly tools is the perfect pocket companion within the larger ALOX line. ALOX is a specific nomenclature that combines aluminum with oxide. First, they punch out aluminum handle scales with a raised square pattern, and then they're shuffled through a process referred to as eloxation. The aluminum surface converted into a very hard oxide layer in an electrochemical reaction that protects the base metal and essentially acts as a moisture barrier to prevent against any sort of oxidation degradation like corrosion from rust. The Cadet is a 1.6 ounce, 3.3 inch, highly pocketable multi-tool, much like the ALOX Pioneer that comes just a touch wider than the Cadet and swaps out the nail file for a ream and a hole punch. Honestly, you just can't go wrong with the entire ALOX line, whichever one you choose, but for the purpose of everyday carry, the Cadet's slim profile makes the most sense around $50. With the Cadet, you're provided with 9 total tools, including a 2.5 inch straight edge blade, a can opener, a 3mm and a 6mm flathead screwdriver, a wire stripper, a nail file and a nail cleaner, a bottle opener, and a keyring for securing the Cadet to a keychain or tethering the multi-tool to a lanyard. And with that multi-tool comes the end of our guide of a great selection of affordable sub-$50 everyday carry pocket knives. We tried to overstate this and repeat this in each and every guide we put together, but there are, of course, many other great options, and it really comes down to matters of personal preference with style and function. So if you didn't see your favorite budget-friendly pocket knife represented on our list, feel free to drop us a line below, as we always love to hear your favorites. Also be sure to head over to HICONSUMPTION.com to check out our hands-on editorial guide as well.